Lining up here, John from deep. We'll have a look at a backdoor entry here. He's deep in there, we can tell you, and there he is. And that little head look at the panel saying, okay guys, if Wilson can get a 6.67, I'm going to set this one. And, John Pizell, Pat O'Connell, you saw Kelly Slater hovering around there, so everyone coming down here and really soaking this moment up, Ross.
Yeah, and that's cool. That's cool that Kelly Slater came down. You know, he's staying about a half hour away, so he's, you know, committing to come watch John, who is obviously having the year of his life, potentially get a win here. And you can see, John, this is as deep as you can get. So even though it's a medium-sized wave, this score is going to go through the roof. You know, again, the judges love it when you touch the foam ball inside the barrel. That's that commitment that they're looking for. So, you know, is it a 10? I don't think so, because it's just a medium-sized wave. There's another version of this wave right here that's almost twice as big, so they might want to reserve that a little bit. But in terms of what he could do on that wave, that's pretty much as good as he can get.
So we have a tube duel here in quarterfinal number 2. Waiting for the judges to establish that score, and it is in, Ross. It's a 9.3. They haven't left themselves a whole lot of room more. No. So a medium-sized wave, but I reckon John Florence about 3 board lengths back in that tube. Yeah. The thing was so wide and open, it really allowed a very deep and steep line from John.
And in general, over time, the judges, that's familiar to me. I see that a lot. They'll score high on medium-sized waves. If you perform great in the barrel and get as deep as you can get, they won't really penalize you on a medium-sized wave. So John picking up on that, I know he paddled into that wave thinking, oh, this is not a bomb, but it was so worth his time.
I remember this morning we were discussing the judging criteria, and it was commitment that was going to be a massive, and let's talk about commitment with Julian Wilson. That wave has breathed all over him. It is an absolute monster that thunders down the sandbar here. And Julian Wilson won't survive that one. And it'll be an incomplete for wave number 2 for Julian. Of course, John Florence establishing a 9.3 and a 5.67 is out front here.
Well, I share your emotion. When the 9.3 dropped for John, I was like, wow, okay, the judge is not leaving a whole lot of room there. You know, there's potential for a lot of 10s out there today. You know, we're going to be cramped right below that ceiling in these 9s. You know, that's where this heat's going to be decided. Julian, I thought for sure he was going to come flying out of this barrel. He was as deep as you can get, but that little extra section right there was the culprit. You know, that wave kind of bent out to sea. You need those kegs to stay wide open and almost bend towards you. But watch the second half of this barrel right there. That wave kind of started bending out to the horizon, and that really cramps the barrel. It turns from this wide open room where you're just sailing through with a lot of space to this cramped little almond-shaped barrel.
Bigger wave though, Ross.
Huge wave. I mean, this would have been a 10 had he come out, because you know, where the scale is set right now. But again, unlucky for Julian that wave just kind of folded in a weird part of the sandbar and got, you know, a weird shape to it.
Wow. So we're looking for a complete one from Julian Wilson. And let's have a look here as he's going to find the opportunity again. Julian Wilson driving down the line here, deep. And that's multiple sections, including a last little funnel to work with. And Julian Wilson will come back into this with a great ride here, Ross.
Great tube riding right there from Julian Wilson. So fighting back, still a ton of time left in his heat. So it is wide open, even though John has you know, a big score. You know, it's anyone's ball game here. And that to me looks like a good backup score for Julian. He's got a 6.67 that might rival that. I don't think it's going to be as high as John's 9.3, but this is going to, you know, definitely get him in a rhythm out there.
Oh, well, we have a duke out here, folks. John Florence, and you'll explore the lip line and try to get progressive. Wow, so Wilson first, then Florence next. It's non-stop action here, and the crowd are loving it, Ross.
Obviously, the big topic is John and Julian and the surfing, but the other thing that is really cool right now is the waves. The waves are on fire. You know, it was really stormy and choppy and just heavy with conditions for the last several hours, but it is really turning into a pristine afternoon. It
is. The wind is laid down. It's brushing it beautifully here. Low tide in Portugal, and it is thundering. Let's have a look at this. It gets a 6.9, Ross.
All right, I had my judge's cap on there. I was thinking it would rival the 6.6 and just a little higher. So 6.9, not a backup score, not a bad backup score for Julian. Nice and deep there, but you know, again, just a small wave. And you can see that it wasn't the full gutter ball, gnarly wave. You want those waves that scare you to really get the judge's attention. And that's why the judges kept it, you know, a little on the medium side there with that 6.9.
Incredible amount of skill as both of these surfers are threading here.
This one much more of a stand-up barrel on the outside. That one also got just a little crumbly through the inside, and that's going to keep the score in check a bit. But how's the rhythm right now? This is back-to-back.
Wow, loving it as we see the overview here of this tube exchange here.
And kind of a cruisy barrel for John. He saw that thing was going to let him out, so he just stood tall and proud. Right here, he's going to stand up, so not a whole lot of stalling, trying to drag his hands just a little bit. But that was a barrel that he knew he was going to come flying out, and he kind of just enjoyed it.
See the ruffling of the yellow jersey in the offshore wind. Beautiful images here, and that ride of John a 7.6 now appears in his top 2, so it replaces a score. So an important ride for John. And then, well, it matches up kind of similar category. Julian Wilson, last ride, a 6.9. So we have a heat on our hands here. But Julian Wilson needs a perfect 10. And as you mentioned, Ross, they are out there.
How ironic, you know, for the math to boil down that way to where Julian needs a perfect 10. That's bizarre. And the weird thing is 10s are crazy available out there. There's 10s waiting to happen. So John will know that, and he'll be trying to up the ante.
Well, exactly halfway, 35-minute heats here for quarterfinals of competition. This one now slipping past 17 and a half to go. So an exciting second half to the story is coming our way up, but the 9.3 and the 7.6 setting the tone here. Julian Wilson way in the discussion.